Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we have another Starfield video for you. Now, I've been playing a ton of Starfield, about 30 hours to be exact, and I just kind of wanted to share my updated thoughts with all of you. Just a couple quick things though, this will be a spoiler-free review. I am working on a spoiler review, but that will probably be out here in about a week, maybe two, maybe more, depending on how deep I go down this rabbit hole. Also, all the footage you're seeing here today is taken directly from my streams. I stream right here on YouTube, so come say hi. And all my footage will be taken from my first live stream, so there shouldn't be any major spoilers there either. And in terms of the actual main story, I think, pretty close to beating it, but I have not beaten it quite yet. My initial review was more of an emotional reaction after my first 3.5 hours of gameplay, and I was absolutely in love with Starfield. But after putting another 25 plus into the game, am I still feeling that way? That's what I wanted to talk about today. The simple answer is yes. I absolutely adore this game. And I couldn't be happier. Like I mentioned in previous videos, this game is exactly what I expected and wanted it to be, which is really weird for me, saying I typically let my expectations get too high when it comes to games or movies that I'm excited about. But before we get into all the really good stuff, let's talk about what I haven't necessarily enjoyed. And really, it's not that much. I just kind of wanted to address the bugs. I have not run into a single game-breaking bug. I have run into a couple smaller bugs, but all but one of them haven't bothered me. Most of them, and there have been surprisingly few for a Bethesda game, either make me laugh or I don't really think of them. But shipbuilders beware. I found a ship that I loved, and it had an armory attached to it, and as such, I filled that baby with as many weapons as I could. And then I went to modify the ship to add more cargo space, and after I was done, all those weapons were just gone. They weren't in the armory, they weren't in my inventory, and they weren't in my cargo hold. They were just removed from my save entirely. And the only save I had prior to me starting to modify my ship was an hour and a half behind where I was, and I didn't want to go that far back. Apparently this has happened to a few people, so just be wary as you go to modify your ships. I was really disappointed by this, but at the end of the day, it was all just cosmetic stuff. It was none of the weapons I actually wanted to use anymore, so it wasn't the end of the world. And I mean it, that really is my only major complaint about the game. I may have more as time goes on, and if I do, I will definitely let y'all know in my full spoiler review. I truly have enjoyed my time in this game. Talking about the main story, I will admit it does have a lot of fetch quests, which typically are not my favorite, but I'm just so enveloped in the world and the mystery behind what the main quest is about that I don't really care personally that it's a bunch of fetch quests. As long as I'm finding more out and pushing the story, I'm still having a great time. But I do think it's something that you should be aware of. The combat is a ton of fun. I believe this is the best Bethesda game in terms of combat. The arsenal of weapons you can choose from is huge, and all of the factions have their own unique aesthetic for weapons. I think this is going to be great for players that are doing a specific build or are trying to really get into the role-playing aspect of the game. For example, if you want to do a space cowboy build, pick the weapons and outfits and stuff from the Freestar Collective, which I'm not personally doing right now, but I do think my next playthrough will be a space cowboy playthrough. Talking about the factions, I can't go too in-depth because I haven't even started any of the faction quests, but again, I just love the aesthetics of each one. Right now, I'm personally leaning more towards the United Colonies because I really love New Atlantis, but the Freestar Collective gives me Firefly vibes, and so I'm pretty torn. 100% though, I am doing a Pirate Hunter playthrough right now, so I fully intend to destroy the Crimson Fleet once I have the chance. Spaceflight is so much fun! It may not be the best flight mechanic in a video game, but it is definitely not the worst. Space combat is so fun. I get so excited when I actually get a chance to engage in a dogfight. Also, the fact that I can blow out an enemy's engine and board their ship is absolutely amazing. The companions are really good. I'm not gonna lie, Vasco is my all-time favorite companion, and so I don't really take any other companions out unless I have to for a quest. But Vasco is the best, and if he dies, I will sob uncontrollably. I can't really talk about the outpost building yet because I haven't gotten there, but what I can talk about is the ship building. I will admit, it took me an embarrassingly amount of time to figure out who I needed to talk to upgrade my ship, but once I did, I had a really fun time messing around with it. There are so many options to upgrade and change everything, and I love that. Now, I also wanted to talk about a couple of my favorite moments I've had in the game. None of them are story spoilers, but if you don't want to hear about them so you can experience them blind, jump to this time in the video. First off, I ran into an elderly lady just out in space, and she sent me a hail and was like, "Hey, come over for dinner." So I just went in and I sat with her and I listened as she told me about her husband who'd passed away and how she's off like touring the whole galaxy and getting to see her grandkids, and I just loved that. It was so wholesome. Sometimes when you grab jump to a system, there will already be a space battle going on that you can just join on in. These have been some of the coolest moments I've experienced in-game, and I always get so hyped when I see what's happening. I left a planet once and was met by a tourist group that paid me to answer their questions about being a ship captain. And again, this was just a really unique encounter that I wasn't expecting and really stuck out to me. Also, I just finished a side quest where I raided an old bounty hunter's lair, and I've got to say it was one of my favorite side quests of all time. The puzzles were fun. It was packed with enemies. Like, I don't think I've seen a single quest yet in this game with as many enemies as I've seen in this one. And the rewards at the end were phenomenal. And like has me super excited to start doing other side quests because what other cool things can I get? All of these unique encounters have made the game so fun to explore. I never know what I'm going to encounter next, and I love that. I just want to jump around to every system and see what they have. I know a lot of complaints about this game have been about the exploration aspect of it. And yes, maybe it's not what we thought it would be as a whole, but there's still just so many really cool things to go out and discover. Talking about exploration, I've heard two major complaints. First, the world borders, and second, that the planets that you land on have waypoints for all of its like locations that you can go to. Yeah, I will admit when I first heard about the world borders, I was super bummed. But honestly, after 30 hours of play, I have yet to actually hit one once. Even though each planet has a barrier you can hit, the area in which you can explore is still absolutely massive. And then in terms of waypoints for locations, it personally doesn't really bother me. Yeah, it gets rid of the moment of randomly discovering something on a planet, but I think the fun for me, at least, is getting to actually explore what's there, regardless if I found it on my own or not. I do, however, understand why this is discouraging for a lot of people, and I really hope that Bethesda adds a feature to turn these waypoints off. I genuinely think that is a super tiny thing that they could do that would really improve a lot of people's experience with this game. Another complaint I've heard is about the sheer amount of loading screens this game has. And honestly, it really does have a lot. You're constantly loading into something. But personally, this doesn't really bother me as they've all been really, really short. But I do think it's something that you, as a potential buyer, should be aware of. Lastly, for this section, I just wanted to let you all know that this is not a space sim like No Man's Sky. This is 100% a Bethesda RPG based in space. While the games may have similar aspects, they are not the same type of game. I think a lot of people's disappointment in games so far has been from the expectation for Starfield space exploration to be as in-depth as No Man's Sky, but it just isn't. Personally though, I don't think that's a bad thing. Starfield is still an amazing game and offers a lot to the player outside of just exploring space. This genuinely might be my game of the year. I will admit, I absolutely adored Jedi Survivor, and nothing has come close to beating it this year, but Starfield just might. It really just depends on how the story pans out, and I will 100% let y'all know once I beat the game and do my spoiler review. I just can't stop thinking about this game. I have a lot of trouble stopping playing because I have this mindset of, oh, I have time for just one more quest, and then I'm playing for another few hours. And I have completely stopped playing other games. Like, I typically, in my free time, will play something else that I'm not recording or streaming, but I'm 100% just playing Starfield and doing side quests in my free time. I just want to experience everything this game has to offer, and I really hope that each of you can enjoy Starfield as much as I have. This is all for today, my friends, but I will be streaming Starfield almost every day until I beat the game. And I've got a couple more Starfield-related videos in the works, so be looking out for those. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Mother Goose out.